It is still hard to believe, but it's beginning to look like Greenland, the world's largest island and one of its emptiest, could soon become an actual battlefield. Two-thirds the size of India. That's right. Two-thirds the size of India, almost entirely covered in ice and home to just over 50,000 people. Greenland should be the last place on earth to hear the drumbeat of military conflict. And yet, Donald Trump has escalated his rhetoric dramatically, declaring that the United States will take Greenland one way or the other. He's even mocked the island's defenses as little more than dog sleds. On paper, the idea of a fight sounds absurd. Greenland is administered by Denmark and sits firmly within NATO. The world's most powerful military does not really need to fight anyone to actually get Greenland. Even if it did, the island is defended by barely half a dozen Danish naval vessels and a handful of surveillance aircraft and drones. But Trump has already signaled that NATO itself is not a deal breaker if Greenland is his objective. And that raises an uncomfortable question. Would Britain or other NATO militaries actually stand up to Trump, even verbally, let alone military? Their track record suggests very little appetite. According to a very new report by Bloomberg, several NATO countries, including the UK and Germany, are considering boosting their military presence in and around Greenland. It is unclear with what that actually achieves beyond symbolic European unity, something that may only provoke Trump, ironically, into going a further step. Now, all of this assumes that Russia and China simply watch from the sidelines as the Arctic map is completely redrawn. US senators are now heading to Greenland, we are told, on what is being described as a listening trip, even as Trump refuses to back down. And I'm guessing thousands of journalists, equal to potentially a tenth of Greenland's entire population, are seeking visas to arrive in Greenland and report this developing story. Just imagine that. Trump is serious about Greenland. Even by his standards, this does not sound like a throwaway line. What hangs in the balance is NATO, Arctic security arrangements, and possibly the opening chapter of a very new and very dangerous global order.
Greenland should make the deal because Greenland does not want to see Russia or China take over. They don't go there. It's very far away from Greenland. And Greenland, basically, their defense is 2 dog sleds. Do you know that? You know what their defense is? 2 dog sleds. In the meantime, you have Russian destroyers and submarines and China destroyers and submarines all over the place. We're not going to let that happen.
But beyond all the theories and scenarios, there's one map that explains the real reason that Donald Trump wants Greenland. Now, take a look very closely at this map. As the Arctic ice melts, now this of course here is the Arctic, this is Greenland, all of this is Europe, and this is North America. So this is the Arctic Ocean, basically the North Pole of the world. As the Arctic ice melts in this area, entirely new shipping routes are opening up, routes that slash travel time between the Atlantic and the Pacific by thousands of kilometers. Now Greenland sits over here, right at the hinge between the Pacific and the Atlantic Oceans. It sits astride these emerging sea lanes at the choke point between North America and Europe. Now, the sea lanes you see here in red are the existing shipping routes that are taken by ships. They've got to go all the way around the Arctic North Pole because this place is almost entirely ice at this point of time. But with all this ice actually starting to melt, this blue line is a brand new shipping route, and that's what Trump actually has his eyes on. Because if he has Greenland, if he controls Greenland, he controls access, monitoring, and dominance over the most important future shipping corridor literally on the planet. Commercial cargo, energy shipments can all go through this new blue line from the Atlantic into the Pacific and in the reverse direction as well. Energy shipments, military transit, everything. So this isn't about real estate as much as it is about who controls this brand new superhighway of the 21st century, literally on the roof of the world. And in a world with melting ice at its poles, the Arctic is no longer a remote corner of this map. As you can see, it's right in the center. Now, Greenland is one of the biggest places in the world, and yet it hardly attracted attention till a US president set his eyes on it. Strategic to geopolitics, a storehouse of natural resources, Greenland has powerful men from Trump to Putin to Xi Jinping wanting a piece of it. But what greenery hides underneath this land of ice and glaciers? Take a look at this report.
Greenland is a long island surrounded by a fringe of smaller islands. It lies between the Atlantic and the Arctic Oceans of the northeast coast of America. 100 years ago, 86% of its 2 million square kilometer area used to be under an ice cap. A century later, the ice cap covers 80% and continues to decrease. Slowly revealing what lies underneath, because therein also lies the true value of this cold, nearly barren, but massive island stuck between the old world and the new. Geographically, Greenland is part of the North American continent, but politically and culturally, it is European. In 1721, a Danish-Norwegian started a settlement near what is now Greenland's capital, Nuuk. In 1776, Denmark established sovereignty over Greenland, and it remained a Danish colony till 1953, when it became a part of the Kingdom of Denmark. In 1979, Greenland gained home rule. In 1983, it left the then European Community. The Greenland Self-Government Act, ratified by the Danish Parliament in 2009, set out a process for Greenland to gain independence, requiring consent from Greenland's parliament and its people in a referendum, with independence terms to be negotiated with Denmark. No framework exists on the buying and selling of Greenland.
The acquisition of Greenland by the United States is not a new idea. This is something that presidents dating back to the 1800s have said is advantageous for America's national security. The president has been very open and clear with all of you and with the world that he views it in the best interest of the United States to deter Russian and Chinese aggression in the Arctic region. And so that's why his team is currently talking about what a potential purchase would look like.
Greenland is an area of great strategic value due to its size and position, situated as it is between North America, Europe, and Russia. Since the Second World War, Greenland has been integrated into US early warning systems. The US Thule Air Base, renamed Pitufik Space Base, halfway between New York and Moscow, is part of their missile defense shield. After the war in 1946, the United States made a takeover offer of $100 million gold dollars. This was rejected by Denmark.
I believe in democracy and I believe in the international rules. Of course, I also believe that you do not change borders by force either one way or another. It is not only the position of Denmark and the Danish kingdom, fortunately, of Europe too. So I hope that the people will also take note of the once again significant European support that we are receiving.
Greenland is practically uninhabitable. Humans live along the coast, mostly to the west and south of the island. The entire population of this massive island is around 57,000, nearly all of them of Inuit ethnicity. Greenland has no industry, there is no road network, and most supplies arrive by air and sea. 90% of its exports come from fishing. Denmark subsidizes around 60% of Greenland's budget, which accounts for 25 to 30% of its GDP. Greenland is eyed by Russia and China for its potential. In 2016, it came to light that the main shareholder of an Australian mining company in Greenland was Chinese. By 2020, Close to 20% of Greenland's exports were to China. Melting land and sea ice is making Greenland's rich mineral and hydrocarbon deposits more accessible. Greenland has large deposits of rare earth elements. Estimates put them at 10% of the entire world's total. Copper and cryolite have been mined in Greenland since the mid-19th century. In the 20th century, zinc, lead and silver were also mined. Coal mining began in 1906. Uranium was discovered in 1956. The 1970s saw the start of offshore oil and gas exploration. Significant offshore oil and gas reserves are estimated to lie to the northeast and northwest of Greenland. No wonder then that outsiders want an insight into Greenland. It has also been an attraction for flamboyant, convicted felons. In fact, that is how it got its name. Around 1,000 years ago, Eric the Red, an Icelandic murderer who was exiled to the island, called it Greenland. He hoped that the name would attract settlers. A millennium later, Greenland, as white as it has been for 2.5 million years, continues to attract not settlers, but profiteers of the world.